Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped. So behind me is the kind of missing link in my super SUV series, the Bentley Bentayga. So I've done Range Rover, SQ7, Porsche Cayenne, Range Rover Sport SVR. The one I hadn't managed to get my hands on was the Bentley Bentayga. So we're basically going to take this up the road and have a look. This is the V8 diesel version of the Bentayga. It's my first ever drive of a Bentley, so I'm massively interested to see what it drives like and what it feels like. So let's have a quick look around it and then we'll take it up the road and see what it's like to drive.
This is the fastest diesel SUV in the world, powered by the same 4-litre twin-turbo V8 you'd find in an Audi SQ7, but then fettled by Bentley to produce 429 bhp and, wait for it, 900 newton meters of torque. That will power this 2.5-ton behemoth to 60 in under 5 seconds and on to a maximum speed of 168 miles per hour.
So here we are, I am sat behind the wheel of my first Bentley, and it's the Bentayga. The first impression when you look at the cabin here is the detail and the stitching and the leather and the materials are just quite something else. And you even get a big B for Bentley on the brake pedal, which I think is really, really lovely. So again, quick route around. It's not a massive test drive, unfortunately, but it should be long enough for me to get a feel for this car, how it drives. Certainly in terms of its looks, I think the Bentayga does divide opinion. It's got its fans and it's got people who aren't so keen. Actually, when you see one in the flesh, they are a really interesting car. There's lots of really nice details, from the kind of really lovely grille at the front. It has a huge amount of space in here. It is absolutely cavernous, and this is a 7-seat one as well. So I guess a little bit like the sort of size-wise, a bit like the Disco 5 that I reviewed recently in terms of size, but in terms of premium level, quite a step up. So let's get going and take this baby up the road. So so push the button, the big B for Bentley, drop it into drive, check I'm not going to drive into anybody, and off we go. So that's quite a relief, because I was a bit worried that the engine wasn't actually in the car, because at tick over there's literally no noise in this car at all. It's perfectly quiet. And your first impression as you drive along, this feels like a big car. You've got a very high seating position, which is nice, and that's what I like about 4x4s. But it does feel like a big car, and that's probably because it is gigantic. So from an engine point of view, big 4-litre V8 diesel, and that's, for me, I think my expectation is it's going to be a very smooth, lots of power, but I guess, you know, not the noise and the grunt you might get from the petrol variant. And so far it's very smooth. I've not even done half a mile yet, but the pull away seems very nice. The positioning of the car on the road, it's quite a bumpy bit of road this, but it's really smooth, as you would expect. My expectation level for this car is very high in terms of comfort and smoothness and refining, the sort of refined delivery of the car, and I expect to waft a lot. Having never driven a Bentley before, certainly in this one I expect to waft. I know when you start getting to the more performance-oriented Bentleys, you kind of are going to have a massive amount of speed, power, noise, but in this I'm going to waft. So just such a smooth drive of the car. So this diesel variant of the Bentayga is a little bit cheaper than the petrol one. It starts at about 150 grand. But I can imagine when you start ticking some options, and this car's got some nice options. It's got 7 seats. It's got a really cool rear entertainment package with screens for the kids. It really has got quite a bit of go. It's a big old truck. This a really, really large, heavy car, but it's amazing. It doesn't actually feel that heavy, certainly in the corners and on the pull away. It just amazes me how car designers nowadays take such massive cars that would have been unwieldy and not really have very good road manners 5-10 years ago, and they're able to produce these cars that just drive so well and defy all laws of physics, basically. So you can feel the kind of performance. I'm obviously on a national speed limit road. I've only been in the car a few minutes, but in terms of covering ground, in comfort, in smoothness, it's very, very impressive. If I start to try and think and compare this car with some of the other premium SUVs I've driven, certainly the kind of Range Rover Autobiography springs to mind. The fit and finish in this is very, very special. It certainly feels even more special than that Range Rover. It's just little things like this white stitching on the leather steering wheel, all of the kind of piano black inlays and so on. I just think it looks fantastic in here. Really, really beautiful. Well, it would be rude not to try 0 to 60 in a Bentley Bentayga, really. So, a nice bit of open road. 3, 2, 1. That's quite impressive. Come on, babe. 60. Yeah, that's how these big cars get off the line so quickly. I've got no idea. This car's got to weigh over 2.5 tons. I don't know the exact weight, but it really is quite impressive in terms of just getting off the line. I love doing 0 to 60 testing cars because every now and again you'll get a surprise. I need to time that one obviously when I get back, but that was very, very cool. It's not, when you see one of these driving along, you think, oh, what a massive, great big thing. That's not going to be very quick. That would put, some pretty quick hatchbacks to shame, I would have thought. Very impressive. The elevated position in this car and its sheer scale and size, I think, is probably why people will buy it. Clearly you have to have a lot of money to get into Bentley anyway, but it's a big status symbol. I'm not convinced how many of these would be taken off road or used, towing horse boxes and those types of things, but it could do that, and I'm sure certainly as a towing vehicle, I bet it's very good at it too. But I don't think that's what this is about. This is a large, it's like having a big elevated saloon car feel, but with the size and scope of an SUV. I mean, it's massive in here. You could have a beautiful, very comfortable journey with, 4 adults certainly would have a lovely time, but this is a 7-seater and you could get seven adults in here quite easily. But if you had kids and stuff, it's a really very, very lovely place to be and to cover lots and lots of distance. And I think that's where the market for this car is. If you want opulent luxury and a car that's going to get you from A to B with loads of luggage and loads of friends, the Bentayga's for you. Would I have one over a Range Rover? I really don't know, to be honest. It's quite an interesting one. I didn't know what to expect before I got in the car. As I said, it's my first Bentley, and I'm now itching to drive more because the feel of the special feel it gives you, the sense of theatre and occasion, is very, very nice. And it's a bit like the Wraith. When I had the Rolls-Royce Wraith for the weekend, you sit, get behind the wheel of that and it just kind of takes you to a different place. And you sit and look at this lovely steering wheel with the big Bentley wings on there, and you think of the history that's behind that mark, and that's very, very special. So my final impressions of this car, it's been a very short but very enjoyable drive. It is a very, very capable car. You're either going to love it or hate it. I'm sure that that's the case. It's quite ostentatious and and makes a big statement, and some people are going to buy it purely for that. But in terms of driving, in terms of performance, it's a very, very impressive car. It's probably one of the quietest, smoothest cars I've ever driven. So that's very impressive. As always, a massive thanks to Harwoods. These track days are great for me to get to drive cars that are normally quite difficult to have access to. So big thanks there as always. But I'm going to sign off there. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have done so, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Pet for plenty more content to come. Well, I'll see you on the next video, and you take care, guys. Drive safe.